The problem is, how do you drive a car that everybody is helping you tell the world that is undrivable to pole position? How do you drive a car that you started having issues with at the beginning of the practices to a pole position? The last practice of the weekend and the qualifying, but the major thing we're going to talk about is the qualifying, because nothing happened in the last practice. It was still the McLaren. We knew they were topping, but we saw Tsunoda now drifting off, because when you look at it, you'll see that Tsunoda was drifting off all through the practice. Aside from the bush burning that occurred twice, we saw Yuki Tsunoda drifting off. He was not as competitive as we thought he really was with Max Verstappen. He was unable to catch up. He was unable to close in the gap. But next 3-4 races will determine if Yuki will still maintain the seat. The funny thing was, I saw that the Williams were getting more better. The race pace is close, but the McLaren still has the best race pace. The McLaren, then Mercedes, then Ferrari, then Red Bull. But I think Red Bull sandbagged all through the weekend, especially with Max Verstappen. So we were unable to really see what their race pace was. But McLaren really showed what their race pace was, and they were really higher than everybody on average. In tomorrow's race, we would know how well they would really try, but they look much more composed and they have rightly the best car on the grid for now. In the qualifying, the Q1, we saw the McLaren like they did in all the practices. Like I said yesterday, the Ferraris will be closer than Mercedes. Hulkenberg was out, Bortoleto was out, Ocon was out, Duan was out. After the accident he had yesterday, a total rebuild of the chassis, a lot of things were changed. Kudos to the mechanics that were able to do that over the night. And Lance Stroll was out. After 2 impressive weekends from Lance Stroll, he was out in Q1. All through this weekend, Lance Stroll was just off. We don't know what happened to Lance Stroll. Alonso picked up. Maybe in Aston Martin, they are trying to do 2 for 2. 2 weeks for you, 2 weeks for you. Because I don't understand. He was totally off all through this weekend. And tomorrow's race is looking like certain that is going to be off. We may not see him in the race. But us were very, very impulsive all through. Oliver Bierman was just on his A game. He did a very good job. We don't know why Ocon had a bad day, because it's still their own home race also, because Toyota Gazoo Racing, Toyota is Japanese. It is still a familiar terrain for them. But unfortunately, in the Q2, we had the 2 friends that were exchanged, Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson, going out in the order of 14 to 15. Lawson 14, Yuki 15. And it was close to about 9/10 to a whole second away from Max Verstappen, him going out. And I'm like, hold on, Yuki is a track, and this car is easy to drive. What is happening? Oh, it's his first drive in the car and he's still learning the car. He said there are no differences between this car and the V-cab. It's just that one that has a pointy nose. So let's say he's still learning some new things in the car. We had Gasly out, Carlos Sainz again out. Carlos Sainz is still struggling. Yeah, he's learning. These are his learning process in the Williams. Like other new drivers in new teams, they're still learning, so to say. Alonso also out, but good job by Oliver Bierman going into Q3. But the main thing was, how did Max Verstappen drive that car to pole? Everybody was saying it was unbelievable. But remember, all through last year, even when they said the car was suffering, we saw that. This year, we saw him getting close to the McLaren. In all the 2 races, he was so close. So how can you tell me that car is still undrivable? See, the thing with the media is, and with the Red Bull is, they sell for us false narrative and we buy it. All through the weekend, they tuned down their engine, especially Max Verstappen's engine. If you look at the telemetry, the mapping shows that the engine is either tuned down or the floor is lifted up and is compromising his zero balance, because we can see that he had pace all through, but is not transvisible in the telemetry if you look at it. All of a sudden, in the last 2 races, he will have a bad weekend, but in the qualifying, you just see Max Verstappen out, boom, and he will drive that undrivable RB20 and RB21 towards the front grid. Max Verstappen, you are so good, as in that guy is so good. Very good, very, very good. So he was able to drive to pole position in the diamond, though the McLaren made a whole lot of mess up in their setup, but in the end they got very, very close to Max Verstappen. The distance was just like 400th of a second between these 3 teams. Then we have Leclerc. But the major issue that Ferrari are having is because of their last disqualification. They are trying to play safe, so they don't want to play into the hands of the FIA. They have to increase the height of the car so that they don't get stuck into the FIA's mistake book again and get disqualified. So I think they lifted the car up. They still have a lot of learnings, but they could have reduced it a little so that they can gain advantage. Because from what I saw all through the weekend, they have the pace to close in on McLaren, but they are unable to do it in the race. And Charles Leclerc in 4th, Lewis Hamilton in 8th. Isaac Aja, what a good performance from him, a rookie, taking the V-cab into 7th on the grid. George Russell, good one. Antonelli was right behind him this time. Albon and Oliver Bierman, kudos to these guys. But certainly the race is coming tomorrow. The McLaren have the tendency of winning the race because they have the best car. They can close in on Max Verstappen in less than 10 laps and overtake him. Will Charles Leclerc be able to close in on Max Verstappen? Will the Mercedes be able to close in? How will the rookies and Lewis Hamilton tackle it out? It is for us to see tomorrow. The prediction is straight. The McLarens are winning the race tomorrow, though Max Verstappen will put up a challenge to them, and it might also be rainy tomorrow. We'll see how this all mix up to give us a very good and interesting race tomorrow. Up until tomorrow, I love you guys. Bye. Cheers.